Hello and good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mohanapriya and you're watching Updates at Noon. Making the headlines today, polling in Baram Parliamentary Constituency resumes today. Kedah not dissolving assembly before March. 12 polling stations have been opened in Baram parliamentary seat for voting in the 15th general election today after polling was suspended due to bad weather. Election Commission Secretary Dato' Ikmaluddin Ishak said the time for the casting of votes is from 7:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. or 2 p.m. depending on the respective voting centres. Are at Sekolah Kebangsaan Long Na, SK Long Luting, RHDK Matthew Belulok Lalo, Kampung Lepo Ngah, SK Long Sait, SK Long Tungan, SK Long Mo, SK Long Makaba, SK Long Jekitan, SK Long Lame, SK Leo Mato and SK Long Banga. RHDK John Jia 1 in Long Semyang was also opened as an additional voting station. On polling day last Saturday, EC announced the suspension of polling in 11 of the 194 voting stations for the constituency following bad weather. There is a three-cornered fight in the Baram parliamentary constituency for the seat between Gabungan Parti Sarawak, GPS, incumbent Dato' Anyi Ngau, Pakatan Harapan's Roland Engan, and independent Wilfred Antika. Barisan National Chairman Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said all BN MPs will follow the Supreme Council's decision on the formation of the government. In a media conference today, he said any statutory declarations or SDs signed by BN MPs prior to this were invalid because it violates party rules. The UMNO president also said any statement claiming that BN is included in a coalition to form a new government is untrue. He said a committee has been formed to hold talks with the relevant parties, adding BN seeks extension of time to enable negotiation with other coalitions before submitting SD to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al Mustafa Billah Shah. Yesterday, Comptroller of the Istana Negara, Datuk Seri Ahmad Fadil Shamsuddin, in a statement said all leaders of political parties and coalitions that have won the most number of parliamentary seats in GE15 have until 2 p.m. today to inform Istana Negara about a new alliance to form a government and submit the name of their Prime Minister candidate. The race to form a government hit high gear this morning as Pakatan Harapan and BN leaders arrived at the Sri Pacific Hotel in Kuala Lumpur. Besides Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid, other BN leaders seen entering the hotel were UMNO Deputy President Datuk Seri Muhammad Hassan, UMNO Vice President Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob and MCA President Datuk Seri Dr. Wee Ka Siong. Also seen entering the building were PH Chairman Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, PKR Secretary General Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail and Amanah President Muhammad Sabu. Perikatan Nasional PN Chairman Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin will show statutory declaration or SD from members of Parliament as proof that the coalition has enough numbers and support to form the government. He said the party Supreme Council held a meeting to discuss the matter last night. Tan Sri Muhyiddin said claims by Barisan National Chairman Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi that BN had never discussed with Gabungan Parti Sarawak GPS about offering the party's support to PN in order to form the government would not prevent PN from forming the federal government with the support of members of Parliament.
Kalau ikut perlembagaan mengata ahli-ahli parlimen Dia tak kata daripada parti mana ke, secara individu boleh, secara kumpulan dan parti mereka boleh. Tapi kalau ada antara lain itu ada ahli parlimen yang membuat keputusan untuk menyokong saya, itu hak ahli parlimen. Ini bersandarkan pada perlembagaan negara. Perlembagaan. So kalau perlembagaan kata seseorang yang nak menjadi Perdana Menteri mestilah mendapat kepercayaan daripada majoriti ahli parlimen. Kalau ikut istilahnya 112 kursi. So dia tak sebutkan mesti datang dari parti A, parti B, parti C.
Tan Sri Muhyiddin said this after chairing a Bersatu Supreme Council meeting last night. In a related development, Tan Sri Muhyiddin stressed that MPs from parties outside of PN that provide support to form the new government do not violate the Federal Constitution and the Anti-Party Hopping Act. He explained that those who backed him as Prime Minister do not leave their party but offer their support as individuals and as MPs, which is not wrong according to the Act.
Dia tak menghalang mana-mana parti. Hatta macam tadi, bukan semua datang daripada PN, GPS, GRS, bebas dan memang tidak melanggar peruntukan akta itu. Pasal mereka tak keluar dari parti, tapi mereka secara individu, ahli parlimen datang daripada mana hatta bebas menyatakan sokongan pada saya. So tidak menyalahi dari segi akta anti lompat parti lah.
Earlier, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said he is confident that he has gathered enough support from MPs to be appointed as the 10th Prime Minister by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong in accordance with the Federal Constitution. He said GPS Chairman Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg and Gabungan Rakyat Sarawak GRS Chairman Datuk Sri Haji Ji Noor met him yesterday and pledged their support and confidence of their MPs for him. He added that several other MPs have also given the same commitment. With the 15th general election over, there is only one message to the coming government: to improve the nation's well-being. For city folks, the most important thing to be addressed by the new government is economic stability.
Saya harap kerajaan yang akan diadakan lepas ni boleh mencapai apa yang janji-janji yang mereka katakanlah. Lepas ni dapat bina lagi lah polisi-polisi baru ataupun dasar-dasar yang dapat mengukuhkan lagi kita punya ekonomi. Saya harap agar kerajaan lepas ini akan lebih apa orang kata susun apa strategi-strategi diorang dalam membentuk Malaysia yang lebih maju dan ekonomi yang lebih stabil. Walaupun harga barang naik, rakyat kena jaga.
So my expectation is like hope Malaysia go better, and also hope the transportation will be better lah.
Kalau kerajaan baru bagi peluang untuk orang yang talent lah, yang ada kelulusan ke macam mana. Jangan tengok kaum berbilang bangsa, bagi peluang lah.
Government baru kena menekankan unity.
Saya nak government baru kekalkan ekonomi, stability dan equality.
Saya harap tahun depan saya expect lah peluang ini tukar untuk bagi pada satu Malaysia lah saya nak. Sebab semua orang manusia juga, India, China dengan Melayu.
Kedah will maintain its stand not to dissolve the State Legislative Assembly before March next year, despite the strong showing by PN after winning 13 parliamentary seats in the GE15. Kedah Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Mohamad Sanusi Mat Noor said the dissolution of the Kedah State Assembly will only be done at any time after March next year. He said the state did not want to hold an election now because floods are expected to occur between November and March.
Jadi after March lah, dia kena ambil kira juga lah. March tu ada puasa, ada raya, ada raya haji. Mungkinlah celah-celah tu boleh buat.
Earlier, Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi, who is also Kedah PN chairman, attended the PN Thanksgiving ceremony together with all newly elected PN MPs in Kedah, who were also joined by thousands of party supporters at the PAS complex in Kota Sarang Semut. Malaysia's economic fundamentals remain quite robust heading into 2023 despite the uncertainties on the political front following the just concluded 15th general election. RHB Investment Bank, RHBIB, said it's maintaining its 2022 gross domestic product growth forecast for Malaysia at 7% year-on-year, with a balance of risks tilted towards a print of 7.5 to 8.5%, followed by 4.5% in 2023. According to the official results, GE15 ended with a hung parliament where no coalition has a simple majority of seats in parliament. As such, RHBIB in a note said economic agents and financial market participants are likely to adopt a wait-and-see attitude in the near term until a new government is formed. In the meantime, it expects the ringgit to trade in the range of 4.6 to 4.7 against the US dollar in the fourth quarter of 2022, followed by 4.7 to 4.8 in the first half of 2023. RHBIB is also maintaining its first half of 2023 average Malaysian government securities 10-year yield forecast of 4 to 4.3. Up in the foreign segment, 5 dead, 25 injured in Colorado shooting. Thailand and the United States are committed to strengthening multifaceted cooperation, especially in trade, economic and security, as well as climate and environment. Thai Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and the United States Vice President Kamala Harris had a bilateral meeting on Saturday after Harris' visit to Thailand to attend the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation or APEC Economic Leaders Meeting. In a statement, Thailand's foreign ministry said both sides were pleased with the close Thailand-United States partnership, which has continued to see increasing dynamism and underscored their commitments to enhance the multifaceted cooperation, both at bilateral and regional levels. On economic cooperation, Prayut emphasized a readiness to work with the US to further promote investment cooperation in Thailand's targeted industries, particularly clean energy, electric vehicles, smart electronics, digital industry, and medical hub industry. On the cooperation related to climate and environment, the statement said relevant agencies are working closely to develop collaboration programs under the United States Net Zero World Initiative to support Thailand's transition to zero-emission energy. Japan's Internal Affairs Minister has resigned over a series of campaign finance scandals, becoming the third member of Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's cabinet to step down in less than a month. Minoru Terada quit over allegations of mismanagement of political funds. He had acknowledged to Parliament that his local campaign group had even listed a dead person as its treasurer in annual financial statements. Other accusations published by the weekly Shukan Bunshun magazine included illegal payments to staff during his re-election campaign last year. Terada's exit came just over a week after Justice Minister Yasuhiro Hanashi resigned. Hanashi stepped down after reportedly describing his job to fellow lawmakers as a low-profile role that only made headlines when he approved the execution of death row inmates. Economic Revitalization Minister Daishiro Yamagiwa left office in late October under fire over reported ties to the Unification Church. The string of cabinet departures has been dubbed by Japanese media as resignation dominoes and will pile further pressure on Kishida. According to the latest NHK poll, the approval rating for Kishida's government is barely more than 30%, its lowest level since he took office last year. The G7 nations slammed North Korea's reckless launch of another intercontinental ballistic missile and called on the UN Security Council to take further significant action to halt the tests. Foreign ministers from the Group of 7 nations said repeated launching of missiles by North Korea further destabilizes the region, despite calls from the international community for peace and stability. The missile North Korea test-fired on Friday appeared to be its newest ICBM with the potential range to hit the US mainland. The G7 statement called for a united and robust response by the international community, including the need for further significant measures to be taken by the UN Security Council. The G7 comprises Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Britain and the United States. North Korean state news agency KCNA claimed that the missile fired Friday was a Hwasong-17, its latest variant and one it asserted as the strongest strategic weapon in the world. A gunman killed at least 5 people and injured 25 others inside a night spot in Colorado Springs late on Saturday before being stopped by heroic clubgoers. Now, police identified the suspect as Anderson Lee Aldrich, a 22-year-old man, and said he used a long rifle. Police said the initial phone call about the shooting came in just before midnight and that the suspect was apprehended within minutes thanks to the quick intervention of law enforcement and the bravery of some patrons.
While the suspect was inside of the club, at least 2 heroic people inside the club confronted and fought with the suspect and were able to stop the suspect from continuing to kill and harm others. We owe them a great debt of thanks.
Colorado Springs Police Department Chief Adrian Vasquez said multiple firearms were found at the venue, including the rifle, adding that the police were working to determine the ownership of the weapons. Authorities said they were investigating whether the attack was motivated by hate. The FBI said it was working with law enforcement partners to determine whether a federal response was warranted. A spokesperson for the city of Colorado Springs said authorities were aware of a 2021 bomb threat involving an individual with the same name and birth date as the suspect, but have not officially confirmed they are the same person.
The suspect has been identified as Anderson Lee.
Donald Trump's Twitter account has been reinstated after the platform's new owner, Elon Musk, ran a poll in which a narrow majority of voters supported the move. Trump was banned from the platform early last year for his role in the 6th January attack on the U.S. Capitol by a mob of his supporters seeking to overturn the results of the 2020 election. More than 15 million people, out of 237 million daily Twitter users, voted on whether to reinstate the controversial profile, with 51.8% in favor and 48.2% against. Trump, who had more than 88 million followers when his account was suspended, reveled in using Twitter as a mouthpiece during his presidency, posting policy announcements, attacking political rivals, and communicating with supporters. Trump said Saturday he would not return to the popular platform, but instead remain on his own network, Truth Social, launched after he was banned from Twitter. Trump said he welcomed the poll and was a fan of Musk, but appeared to reject any return. A warehouse caught fire in the center of Moscow near 3 railway stations, linking the Russian capital to several major cities. Thick plumes of black smoke rose above the city's skyline, in contrast with the snow-covered pavements just next to Yaroslavsky, Leningradsky and Kazansky train stations. The usually busy stations link Moscow to cities such as St. Petersburg in the northwest, Kazan in the east, or Vladivostok in the far east. The emergency services said they received an alert around 3 p.m. local time about a fire in a 2-story brick warehouse. About 2 hours later, the fire had engulfed about 2,500 square meters. The Ministry of Emergency Services said 3 helicopters and 80 people were dispatched to put out the fire. Russian rail company RZD said the fire did not threaten passengers and did not affect train movements. Kiev and Moscow traded accusations of shelling on the territory of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant that Russia controls in southern Ukraine. The UN atomic watchdog that has a team of experts at the plant said powerful explosions had occurred on Saturday and Sunday. The Russian army said that Kiev does not stop its provocations aiming at creating the threat of a man-made catastrophe at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. It said missiles exploded around a power line that feeds the plant, the 4th and 5th power units, and special building number 2.
Радиационная обстановка в районе атомной электростанции остается в норме.
There. We begin with the local front. Johor Darul Ta'zim JDT has advanced to the Malaysia Cup finals for the second consecutive season after beating Sabah FC 4-1 on aggregate in the second leg semi-final match at Sultan Ibrahim Stadium. The Southern Tigers beat Sabah 3-1 in last night's match, with Bergson da Silva, Fernando Forestieri and Mohammad Shafiq Ahmad scoring. A decisive victory following their narrow 1-0 win in the first leg at the Lika Stadium last Tuesday. JDT's first goal came from a Bergson header off a Laver Corbin Ong cross at the 35th minute and was his 6th in the Malaysia Cup campaign. 6 minutes later, Forestieri scored thanks to a long ball by Mohammad Afiq Fazal that landed neatly at Arif Aiman Mohammad Hanapi's feet in the penalty box, allowing Forestieri to then find the net. Sabah then managed to retaliate in the second half, scoring through an effort by Taiki Kagayama in the 47th minute. Finally, at the end of the match, Mohammad Shafiq made it 3-1 for JDT by tucking in a cross in injury time. 9-time Super League champions JDT has won the Malaysia Cup in 2017 and 2019 since the club was founded in 2013. Last year, JDT lost 0-2 to Kuala Lumpur City FC, while the 2020 edition was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, Qatar became the first home team to lose their opening World Cup match as Ecuador cruised to a 2-0 victory over the hosts, with Ana Valencia scoring twice in the tournament curtain raiser early today. Asian champions Qatar enjoyed the backing of the 67,000-strong crowd at Al Bayt Stadium, but could not follow a glitzy opening ceremony with a statement performance. Ecuador thought they had made a dream start when Valencia headed in at the 3rd minute, only for the goal to be ruled out by VAR for an offside in the build-up. It was only a brief reprieve for Qatar, with Valencia putting the South American side ahead from the penalty spot in the 16th minute before doubling his tally just after the half-hour mark. Qatar improved in the second period, but by the end of the 90 minutes, the buzz of the opening ceremony was a distant memory.
Lo primero de todo, y sin dar ningún tipo de excusa, felicitar a nuestro rival de hoy, Ecuador, que creo que ha sido el merecido ganador. Yo creo que tenemos mucho margen de mejora. No hemos mostrado hoy nuestro máximo nivel. Creo que quizá nos ha pesado un poco la responsabilidad, los nervios nos han traicionado un poco al principio. Hemos empezado realmente mal, muy mal. Hemos concedido goles y eso ya te condiciona ya para todo el partido, con lo cual espero, pues, después de este debut, pues de cara al siguiente partido, pues ya a nivel de presión dejarnos ir y afrontarlo, pues de una manera más competitiva, que es lo que creo que podemos hacer.
Before kickoff at Al Bayt, a stadium shaped in the Formula song alongside Qatari singer Fahad Al Kubaisi before Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al. Meanwhile, ahead of Iran's World Cup opener against England tonight, experienced defender Ehsan Haj Safi said Iran's players at Qatar want to be the voice of people back home, where there has been a deadly crackdown on women-led protests. Unprompted, the 32-year-old Haj Safi began a press conference by extending his sympathies to those who had died in Iran.
باید قبول کنیم که واقعا شرایط کشورمون خوب نیست و مردممون شاد نیستن، همه ناراحتن و ما اینجاییم. دلیل بر این نیست که صدایشون نباشیم و یا بهشون احترام نذاریم. ما هر چی داریم از مردممون هست و ما اینجا هستیم که سخت تلاش کنیم، بجنگیم، بهترین عملکردمون رو توی زمین بذاریم و گل بزنیم و گلمون رو تقدیم به مردم داغدار ایران کنیم و امیدوارم که شرایط اونطور که مردممون میخوان رقم بخوره و همه شاد بشن.
Team Melli, as the national team is known, has been in the spotlight in the run-up to the World Cup, with anticipation over whether the players will use soccer's showpiece event as a platform to show solidarity with the protest movement.
We are, and with effort, sacrifices, commitment, we are here together to being part of the best players and the best teams in the world. And we just want to enjoy the game, and we just want to have the opportunity to create joy, to create happiness, to create pride for the Iranian fans, as all national teams.
And that concludes today's updates. At noon in our top story today, polling in Bahram parliamentary constituency resumes today. We leave you with fireworks and drone displays on the Doha Corniche at the Qatari capital as the first game of the World Cup comes to an end. I'm Mohana Priya. Thank you for your company.